I almost left the meeting.
If you don't want to record, just let me know.
Almost left the meeting.
All
I was
right.
trying to take the video off, which seems
All
like a hot
righty.
commodity right now.
Yeah, right. Maybe we should be doing that.
Yeah, that yeah, may, maybe once that studio comes about, we can do video.
There we go.
We can get a green screen.
Gotta gotta get some of that buy us a coffee money coming in.
Yeah, that whole $0 and 0 cents of it.
All right, well let's do this thing. Welcome everyone to the last episode of season 1. Had you go on there for a minute. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Marquise, and welcome to Echospective.
Yes, we're so glad you are listening to us today. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yeah, and excited to hear this week's episode. See what's um see what's on the agenda and who we got coming on to share their thoughts and experiences with music.
Yes, we have a very special guest with us this week. But before we get into that, Marquise,
hmm
why don't you let everyone know how they can continue to keep up with what we're doing?
Hey, you can check us out at echospective.com. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. You can also send us a message on that little square. You can call us at 336-298-8124. And also, all of our shows are on the website. You can go and scroll through them, check them out, see what you like, become friends. You can still become friends of the show.
That's right.
That's still available for you to check that out. So, and also buy us a coffee so we can continue to improve.
That's right. We're thirsty.
No, we're not. Don't say that.
Not that kind of thirsty. I don't know. I don't know. Times are
No,
tough.
yeah, you don't know. There's ways, there's other ways, but
That's right. I know we're talking about pivoting, but that's ridiculous.
pivot.
Pivot. Um so this week we have with us one of my coworkers. Her name is Nkrumah Mensah, but her white lady name is Christina.
Nah. Okay.
I you know, this was a cool interview. I really enjoyed doing this one. So I hope everyone enjoys it as well. She is an author, a novelist. So she takes us on a very interesting journey of, as always, we start out talking about music and kind of how that is influential in people's lives, and we end up in the novel arena. So it was very interesting and inspiring and encouraging to hear, where she started and where she's going. So I hope it's the same for all our listeners.
Absolutely. Check it out.
Yeah, here we go. Boom, ba-doom, doom, bop, boom, doom, ba-doom, doom, ba-doo-doo-doo. Skiddly-dip-ba-doo. Oh, yeah. Doom, doom, doom. Boppity-boppity-doo. Oh, yeah.
About time, huh?
Tell me about it. You don't have to have your video on if you don't want to.
Oh, you can see my house.
Yeah, I can. I like those
Actually, look.
pictures.
We've got look, origami on the ceiling.
What?
Right. Cranes and hummingbirds.
Ooh,
They're cool.
that is cool. All right. Well, let's try this for the 70th time.
Well, I think we should mention, hey, this is the third time we're doing this.
Third time is a charm.
So I've been told.
I feel like there's a little bit of a double entendre there. A little hidden meaning to the phrase.
Always.
Hmm. Yes. Well, with that being said, here we go.
All right.
Welcome to the show for the third time. Um,
Thanks for having me for the
yes.
third time.
Yes, yes. So, to our listeners today, we have Nkrumah Mensah. Did I do that correctly?
Yeah, you got it
Okay.
close in Nkrumah
Oh,
Mensah. Yeah.
close
Got it
enough
damn close, man.
for horseshoes and hand grenades. So, you are a music lover, an author,
Absolutely.
and a strong black woman.
Oh, now you're trying to butter me up, man.
That's right. I want some good stories today.
Let's see what I can find.
You and I work together, and you've heard the stories of the pod and have listened to several episodes, so you kind of know the deal by now. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna dig in, and I'm gonna ask you the question. Doesn't that kind of sound like a game show? The question.
It does sound like a game show.
I feel like there is a show called The Question.
Is there?
It's like some, I think it's a British show.
I'm sure you could Google it.
Tonight on The
It
Question,
would
we
it would be
ask
a British show.
the question. Oh, quick quick aside, I was watching something yesterday, and it was a Bill Hader interview, and subsequently I had seen uh, a skit later on that he had done on SNL about this very thing that he talked about. How someone was asking him what TV shows he likes to watch, and he was like, I really like watching these like British, um, kind of like thriller shows, like a poor man's Jason Statham kind of thing. And he's like, because you just never know what they're saying. It's like it'll start out and it's like, oh yeah, we gotta go find them. We gotta go save this girl from this guy. And he's like, yeah, they gotta go save this girl from this guy. And then he's like, yeah, we have over there, we get on the thing with the stuff from the death. And he's like, what? Like, oh, okay. Now we then he's like, oh, okay, now they're on a plane and they're probably gonna, you know, take over the plane or something. He's like, oh, we're on this plane. I really like flying. It's really nice. And he's like, oh, they're just enjoying a
They're
flight.
just enjoying.
Okay.
That's why I love British shows. And if you haven't seen it, I mean, we're here to talk about music, but if you haven't seen it, Nathan, League of Gentlemen, okay?
I think I started it, maybe. But yes. Yeah,
Yes.
I definitely want to see that.
I love a favorite episode, the locals store. So it's only for locals.
Locals. Have you ever watched oh, what's it called? Staff Let's Flats or something like that? Um,
No.
so it's the brother of the actress that's on What We Do in the Shadows,
Okay.
um,
The TV show or the movie?
the TV show.
Okay.
Um, it's just you need to look it up. Any
Okay.
listeners, you need to look it up because we'll have to do a series during the summer on British television.
Absolutely.
You can be our resident expert. A resident expert on
I
British
would love to do
British
that.
telly.
And of course, we have to talk about the Monty Pythons.
Oh, yes. And maybe we just talk like this the whole time. Like, oh, I just
Absolutely.
love it.
I'm sure it's offensive on some level to someone anywhere.
But we could say we're acting and then it'll be okay. Just acting British. I don't think we have any British listeners, so we're probably in the clear.
Maybe after that episode we will.
That's right. They're like, oh, somebody's bloody talking about us. We'll have to listen into that episode. We will. Now we're just turning into like a rendition of Oliver. Can I have some more, sir? Some more podcast.
Which, hey, honestly, okay, so this is actually related to music.
Hey, okay.
Have you heard Oliver Twist by DeBange?
DeBarge?
No, DeBange. So anyway, it's okay. So I grew up, my dad's, for the listeners, my dad's West African. He's from Ghana. And so Oliver Twist in America is like, oh, this poor boy who grew up in an orphanage and he has nothing. Well, in a lot of Africa, Oliver Twist is greedy. Okay, because he asked for more food.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. You should be happy with what you have, you jerk.
We have less than you. So like,
I mean, hey, it's all about perspective, right?
exactly. So when he goes up and he's like, please, so may I have some more? Everybody's like just slamming him. So there's a song called Oliver Twist, and it's about a guy who can't get enough of all the things he wants. And I mean, it's like women, cars, money. I mean,
Porridge.
it's great. It's great. I love it because
I'm gonna have to check that out.
most people like hear it and they're like, I don't understand what Oliver Twist has to do with this.
It's like, hey man, this song is deep, all right.
So deep.
Song's like an onion. Oh, that's great. Okay. So this is probably the best intro that this show will ever have. So music. Let's let me officially ask. What's your earliest musical memory?
Well, Nathan, my earliest musical memory
See, now it looks like you're reading a script.
is, of course, like we've done this a few times, but
Let's pretend like we haven't.
honestly,
You've had
it
a lot
was
of time to think now. It might
when
not even be what it originally was.
it's still the original. It's
Okay,
still
okay,
the
that's good because it's
OG.
a good story. I'll let you tell
It's
it.
still the OG. Well, I was born in West Virginia, and my dad, when I was very young, he loved John Denver. And it just
Every time I hear it, it never ceases to be entertaining.
Yeah, the West African singing Country Road. He that song was made for me. It was just for me. So I grew up thinking John Denver made Country Roads just for me.
Like your father wrote him a letter. He's like, please, can you do me this one favor?
My daughter was born here. Make this song.
Surely no one has ever asked this before. Must be the first.
It wasn't until I think one of my cousins told me that it's not my song.
That'd be funny if it was really sold as like nobody else knew that song. Like it was only played for you because it's only
Yeah.
for you. And then you're like walking down the street one day and somebody drives by and they're blasting it in their Jeep Wrangler. And you're like, wait a second. You know that song too?
I might have thought that I had a lawsuit on my hands. Like, wait a second, you stole my song. Who said you could play that?
That's right. Oh, okay. So you you thought the song was for you.
Yeah.
Did it feel special whenever you heard it? Or were there certain times that it was did your father play it for you, or just when it came on the radio, he's like, "Oh, let me turn this up.
It
This
was
song is your song."
it was on the radio, it was in our house, it was,
Wow,
you know, we
that's a lot
even
of John Denver.
yeah, right? And then we like we even we left the state when I was like 4 going on 5. And we would go back to visit and he would have to play that song. Like it was like,
It's
we're
a
going to
tradition.
West Virginia, we have to play the song. It was that, and then the other thing, whenever we're in West Virginia, is he has to point out the gold top of the Capitol building. And I don't care how old I am or how many dang times I've seen it.
Yeah.
If he's in the car with me, he's like, "Oh, look, do you see it? It's gold." I'm like,
You're
"That's
like,
great,
"Oh
Dad."
yeah, yeah, Dad. That's yep, totally forgot about that."
Yeah, yeah, I'm going back to sleep now. You still driving? Cool. Eyes on the road, man.
Yeah, when you see that, you're like, "Okay, now I know how much time we have left."
Funnier part is that now I do it to my kids.
Right. And I'm sure they are just as enthused. Like, yeah,
I think
mom,
even
whatever.
less so.
Right. They're like, why are you
Yeah,
pointing out a building? Who cares?
right?
Who cares
Can I
about
get
that
back to my
building?
gaming or
Right. I can
sorry.
build that in Minecraft, so whatevs.
Right?
That building is so LY.
Gosh. Yeah, those are great memories.
That's that's good. Um,
So
so
shout out to West Virginia on
there
that.
we
I
go.
mean,
There we
I
go.
feel like they get a lot of crap, but
They
yeah,
they do. Um, so did John Denver spark something deep within you, some deep musical appreciation, or did it take a little while for you to go, all right, now I know I'm starting to figure out this music thing, and John Denver really doesn't do it for me, but I like this other stuff.
it was a lot of different things really because of course we had John Denver in the household, we had Michael Jackson, we had yep, Sade. I mean, we had a nice mix of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
The Beatles, of course, you had to have the Beatles. Uh, I think that, I would get up and sing and dance to just about anything.
Is there video footage of this?
There is not, thank God.
Oh, too bad.
So, so, there's one song that I absolutely loved, and Let's Hear It for the Boys.
Oh yeah.
So,
Let's give the boys a hand,
yes,
Let's
yes,
they
by
deserve it.
Denise Williams. Denise Williams. So that song, I will tell you, when I heard that song for the first time, it was like on repeat.
Uh-huh.
Like I bugged the mess out of my parents with that song. So I can't even tell you. I don't know why. Like I went back and listened to it a few times and I was just like, why this song? I had like Michael Jackson, I had John Denver, I had Sade with this song. Like
You're like, this really appeals to me, and not
yeah,
sure why.
right? And I think it also had to do with the music video. That
Okay.
like we were coming into music videos and everything, and
Yeah.
that was really cool at the same time. And so it's not that I could just hear her sing it, but after a while
Right.
I could see her dancing,
Yep.
and there were kids in the video, and so it just I don't know, it felt special to me in some kind of way.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, Michael Jackson. Yeah, I used to do the same thing. Whenever we would go visit my grandfather, uh, we put on some Michael Jackson, and I would tear the floor up. I'd get out there and bust a Michael Jackson move like none other.
Oh
And
my God.
it used to he used to think it was the funniest thing. It it became a requested feature of the visits.
Is
Boy,
there
what
video of that?
there might be.
Oh
There
no.
might be. But he would be like,
Well,
boy, why don't you get out there and dance some of that Michael Jackson? Like, hey,
here's the thing.
you don't have to tell
Oh,
me
go ahead.
twice.
I have to say, Michael Jackson, love him or hate him, the music is awesome. I
Oh
mean, it's just
yeah,
awesome.
for
And
sure.
if you don't get up and start dancing to Thriller like a zombie, I don't know
Yep.
who you
Yeah. Do
are.
you even
Just
have a soul?
right.
Um, and an interesting tidbit about me, because we're going to be talking about you enough. I think
Steal the limelight.
that's right. Let's circle back to me here.
It's just your podcast.
No big deal. Um, I think somehow I told some friends of mine in middle school or late middle school about that story, or maybe I just danced like Michael Jackson at school, which is which very well could be the case. So there was a few select group of friends that would would call me Tito, but I think I think that's also partially due to Beavis and Butthead,
Uh-huh.
because there was an episode where I think they were watching a Michael Jackson video, and Beavis was like, "Hey, is that Tito?" And my friend, one of my friends,
That's where that came
yeah,
from.
one of my friends just he was obsessed with Beavis and Butthead, and so he dubbed me Tito, and it stuck for a little bit. I think I think once I got into high school, I was like, that's probably some level of cultural appropriation or something, and I'm just we're gonna we're gonna drop that.
Man, I started doing that at work and confusing people. They're like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I was hanging out with Tito and Lane." And they're like, "Who?"
Lane.
And I just walk away. And they're like, "We got new employees."
You got a girl's middle name, boy. Oh, okay. Okay, now we can talk about you again. Um, so what was kind of the next musical milestone for you after that? What was that next big epiphany or um, because let's hear it for the boys. That's kind of hard to beat,
Oh
and
man.
especially when it's kind of like you said, there's this perfect storm of there's this song that's got this electricity to it, but with the advent of music videos, now you can kind of have that video playing in your head, and now it's this different experience. It's more than just listening to music. Now you have this visual aspect to it. What was kind of the next thing that blew you away?
Outside of hair bands,
Well, we can
so
talk about hair bands.
so I will say that at the same time that I was getting into Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard, my mom was really getting into Prince.
Oh,
And oh, I'm so gonna disappoint you right now. And I can't believe I'm gonna say this.
uh-oh.
My mom loved Prince so much, I couldn't stand Prince.
You're like,
Like,
enough Prince.
I was just like, I just can't.
Prince
Like, she was
overload.
just like, she's like, oh, he's so sexy. And I was like, oh my God, he's wearing your clothes. Like,
Right.
like,
And plus, you don't really want to hear your mom talk about how sexy somebody is,
right? I was just like, oh
especially
my
as a
gosh.
teenager. It's like gross.
Dude, I was like in elementary school. This chick was all
Oh,
about it. And I'm just like, dude, I can't. I'm like, mom, chill. And so it was so annoying. But then at the end, on the flip side, I come home singing Paradise City and,
Yeah.
Hysteria, and she thinks it's like demon music. So it's like I'm totally like tweezing out my hair and
Oh
the
yeah.
Aquanet going and, you know, all of that jazz. And, to mellow it out, there was a little bit of Tiffany and,
Oh
Debbie
yeah.
Gibson
Mm-hmm.
going on.
You got to.
So yeah, it was little bit of everything. And then in the background there was Prince. And I was like, oh my God. But
Enough
I
with the
did,
purple one.
right. I did eventually, like, when my mom calmed down, listen to some Prince, and I was like, "Oh man, I like this guy."
Yeah.
I just refused to listen to Prince when my mom was around. Like, it was just there had to be a line.
Right. Yeah. Um, so with your appreciation of Prince, what's your favorite song? What's the one that you had on repeat?
Okay, so this is gonna be two Prince songs.
Okay.
Um, one not sung by Prince, written by, but not sung by.
Uh-huh.
So the first one, um, I do love some Purple Rain, I really do.
Yep.
But and then the other is Nothing Compares by Sinead
Oh,
O'Connor.
yes, that's right.
I heart that song. And when I found out that Prince wrote it, number one, I like the song. I like
Yeah.
Sinead O'Connor. I
Uh-huh.
like the song. But I was just like, Prince, why didn't you do it? Like I still wanted to hear
Yeah.
Prince do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to know what that would be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess Sinead O'Connor did like such a great job. He's like, go ahead, girl, you good.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the video for that too, man. She's like
Oh yeah.
and crying. I was like, the saddest video I ever saw. Like, but I
But I
couldn't
love it.
stop watching it.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a train wreck.
Yep.
So like, um, but my favorite music video of all time is Aha.
Oh yeah.
Take
Yep.
on Me.
Mm-hmm.
I just love it. I love the song. I love the whole animation with
Yeah.
the, you
And
know,
that's back in the day when you just didn't know how that stuff was done. You know,
exactly.
and it just added so much more to that experience because sometimes when you see behind the curtain and it's like, oh, well, that really wasn't that complex. Now, like rotoscoping is still it's a complex uh, process.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost a little too late for me to be talking. I've used up all my words for the day. But still, I think just not just watching something and just going, how did they do that? I have no idea how they did that. And it just be this like innocent experience and not affected by the knowledge of what's going on behind the curtain.
Exactly. And I
Thanks a
did
lot,
say,
internet.
and I did say that that was my favorite video. Of course, Thriller is
Yep, I
like top
remember when that
notch.
aired and
Me
it
too,
it
man.
scared me, but in a good way.
Yes. Yes. Preach, sir,
Yeah.
preach. So, yeah, I love that. And then, but I even went back and rewatched the AHA video recently, and I still love it.
Oh
I
yeah,
still
it
love
holds
it.
up
And
big
I'm
time.
I'm still kind of like people don't really watch music videos like that anymore. I mean, you
Uh-huh.
get on the internet and you watch a few here and there, but it's not, I feel like it's kind of lost some of its sparkle a little
Yeah.
bit. And I like watching like some of the music video now. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how is this related to the song? Like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, is it beautiful? Yes, cool.
What emotion is am I supposed to be feeling right now?
Right?
Um, not that you asked, but I will tell you my favorite Prince song.
Yes, please.
I Would Die for You. I love that
Really,
song.
I love that song.
It's so good. It's so Prince, you know? I mean,
I know what you mean.
just
I know what you
yeah,
mean.
it's the
I know what you mean.
all that kind of stuff going on and the
Yeah,
descending synths and just the reverb on the vocals and the cadence and everything. I mean, it might be one of the most Princiest Prince songs of all time.
I think you
But
might be right. I
that's
also
just
like
me.
when doves cry.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Um, I mean, there's so many. There's so many Prince songs. Gosh,
Prolific, prolific songwriter.
right.
Okay.
Him and Michael. Dang.
Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to remember from our previous two conversations if there's anything I'm leaving out at this moment. But see, this is third time is a charm. Like we're talking about some more stuff this time. So that's good.
I know, and stuff that, yeah, the stuff we didn't even think about before.
Yeah. So okay, I remember from one of our previous discussions. Um, so thinking of music from a cultural aspect. Um,
Hmm.
growing up, did you view music in that way? Like, did you the music you were listening to versus maybe what your other black friends were listening to and versus what your white friends were listening to? Like, was there this dichotomy there? Did you ever feel out of place or did you feel right at home?
Well, okay, so I moved a lot. And typically when we moved, my parents would move into the best school district, which happened to be the white school district.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, when I lived in Lombard, Illinois, there were like three black kids in the school, me, my sister, and some girl named Tina. And so it was
I don't know why. I don't know why that name's funny.
but it wasn't like there was a lot of diversity there.
Okay.
So it was very much it we had like battles. You were either in the Guns N' Roses team or you were
Mm-hmm.
on the Def Leppard team. And I was on the Def Leppard team, but secretly listening to Guns N' Roses
Oh, what a
uh,
traitor.
because I was like, why should I choose?
That's right. So can't we have both?
And I have it all. So
I
I
want it all.
I didn't realize until my mom took my sisters and me to Kentucky, and when I was in junior high school, that there was like this huge difference in music
Uh-huh.
and a lot of music that I'd never heard before. Because we listened to the same stuff on the radio, and
Yeah.
it was just everything that I was already listening to at school. So when we moved to Kentucky and I was in a very mixed crowd, it was Big Daddy Kane and it
Yeah.
was, Color Me Bad and it was like
I
a
forgot
whole
about Color Me Bad.
it was all sorts of like music that I hadn't heard. We were listening to more rap, we were listening to more R&B, and you know, of course, I wanted to share my music with my friends, but they're like Def Leppard, like, that was like a big no
Yeah.
where I was living in Kentucky. So I realized this was probably seventh, eighth grade that there were some types of music not heard everywhere.
Right.
And the radio stations that I was listening to didn't play Def Leppard. They didn't play Guns N' Roses. I didn't hear any Bon Jovi, or David Bowie. It wasn't in that realm.
Right.
And I kind of missed that. And then we moved again 2 years later to Virginia, and then it happened again. And so now I'm again in a predominantly white school, and I'm listening to a lot of Weezer, and I'm listening, like
Like
Green Day.
the whitest of all white music.
Right. Totally love the sweater song,
Yeah.
man.
See, John Denver got you started, and then
Yeah, and it just, I just kept going all over the place. And the funny thing is my best friend was in Kentucky. So, I moved, she and I, through epic letters. And when I say epic, Nathan, I mean, we would write 10, 20-page letters to one another because this is
what?
before cell phones, and our parents wouldn't let us use the house phone because,
Yeah, long
the long
distance.
distance rates
Yeah.
were atrocious. So we were allowed to call one another. Her mom would let her call me once a month, and my parents would let me call her once a month. But we would, in the interim, write these epic letters. And in these letters, we would sometimes talk about music, and then over the phone, we would talk about music. And what she was listening to was dramatically different from what I was listening to.
Interesting.
And so that way we would just kind of cross over and share what we were listening to.
Yeah.
So I still got like some John B from her
Uh-huh.
and a lot of boy bands. My word. My word, her and the boy bands. And then on my end, it was like, hey, like I'm listening to Ani DeFranco, and she was listening to Alanis Morissette, but she didn't know who Ani DeFranco was, which I thought was like the OG before, Alanis. And I'm listening to the Cranberries and stuff like that. So I was really lucky to kind of have her help me stay in touch with that realm with Tupac
Yeah.
and all of that. And then I introduced her to a lot of like Green Day. So I'm all over the place, man. All over the place. And I
Interesting.
and I totally love, like, the one person I've seen in concert the most, and you're gonna totally think I'm a geek. Um it's Harry Connick Jr.
No, that dude's amazing.
I freaking love Harry Connick Jr. I've seen
I
him in
think
concert like 3 or 4 times.
I think I used to have a CD of his.
I think I used to have a crush on him.
Used to. You're like, if I see him in person, no
But I did.
promises. All
No.
right.
But yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. I love his music.
Yeah, very talented.
So yeah, so all over the place, Nathan.
Yeah,
What else you got?
I like that. Okay, so it's interesting that you brought up these novellas that you would write your friend. So I mentioned at the top of the episode that you are an author. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
All right. Yes.
When did that start? What's the deal with writing?
Well, okay, so honestly, thinking back on when I started writing, it probably started when I was in Lombard, Illinois, when I was in elementary school. But full disclosure, I'm dyslexic. So reading and writing didn't come very easily to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to write this story about a treasure. And I got maybe 10 pages in and then I quit. Two reasons. One, I didn't read, so I really didn't know how to put like all these sentence structures together
Mm-hmm.
properly. And two, it was a daunting task, and especially for somebody who couldn't spell.
Yeah.
So I just gave up on it. And then in junior high school, I started reading for pleasure. And I wrote a few essays that teachers thought were really good. And I got into poetry because I found that it was a quick, easy way to convey my thoughts and be done with it.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and I'm not sure when I decided to write my first novel. It was high school. It had to be high school, towards the end of high school, after I found out I was dyslexic. And once I found that out, it was kind of like a weight had been lifted. Like, okay, I'm not stupid. This is an actual thing that people struggle with.
Right.
And so, me being like a slow reader and not always spelling things right or forgetting how things are spelled, it wasn't as bad then. So I started writing this novel, which I didn't finish because I got bored with it. And which which is crazy because I got it like 150 pages in, and I was like, wow, I like this story.
Oh
So I
my
just kind of
gosh.
trashed it. And then I had a friend who was going through an arranged marriage, and I was like, so what would happen if you ran? And she's like, I
Mm.
can't do that. And I was like, sure you can. We could just go. And she's like, no, I can't do that. So that's how I wrote Anne of Survivor. It was a young woman going through an arranged marriage, and she runs. So I'm like, what is she
Hey,
gonna do?
art
And
imitates life.
exactly. And it's I didn't really expect this novel to get out.
Yeah.
It was more of a story that I wrote, and then I gave it to my friend as a gift.
Okay.
And 311 pages later, it was a gift. And then one day, through many moves, because I wrote this book in my 20s, it was during or right before COVID. My eldest daughter was in Battle of the Books, and she knew that I wrote because I was always writing something. And she found Anne, and she's like, hey, can I read this? And I said, sure. She loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it, and she shared it with her Battle of the Books team, and she shared it with some of her best friends. And she's like, Mom, why don't you publish this? And that kind of set me on this path to writing
Hmm.
for reals.
That's very interesting. Um, do you find that it's easy or difficult to put yourself out there like that? Because there's a level of vulnerability that has to exist. Like you're creating this thing that's you have this idea and these thoughts in your head, and for lack of a better term, you're putting pen to paper. You might be putting fingers to keys.
No,
And
both.
like you're literally creating something out of nothing, and it's for all intents and purposes it's part of you, and you put that out there. Like is that ever terrifying, or are you like, whoo, is it kind of a release, like this was in me and now it's out of me, and I don't, not that you don't really care what happens to it after that, but like is the process more daunting, or is what comes after?
So it's first of all, the reason it's sat in a box forever is because I didn't think it was good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized after Bronte and her friends liked it, it wasn't my story, it was Anne's story.
Yeah.
And I was just telling Anne's story the way it came to me. And is it nerve-wracking to let it out? It's nerve-wracking to let it out, not because I'm afraid that people are going to judge me necessarily, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid they're going to judge my characters. And when you're writing, you spend so much time with these people,
Yeah.
and they're not just characters on a page to me at this point. They're people. And I hang out with them, and I yell at them when they do stupid things. And I'm like, why can't you see that that dude likes you? You're an idiot. And, it's like, and, then- and I really do out loud say some of these things. And my daughter's like, you're writing it. Like, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, that's
no,
right. I can change the trajectory here.
and it's like no, because when I write my characters, they have these characteristics, and they have to approach situations the way that character would approach it, which is not necessarily the way I would approach it.
Right.
And so it's not me, it's them. And I don't want people to attack them. They're kind of like my family.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like putting your children out in the world. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, you love your children, they're kind of quirky, maybe even a little weird, but you love them anyway.
Right.
And nobody better say anything about their quirks, or you're going to kick some ass.
That's
So,
right.
and that's how I am about my characters. Like,
Yeah.
don't make fun of them. I love them.
Well, it's an investment.
It
Like
is.
you've created these people,
Yeah.
and at some level they mean something to you. And I would imagine whether, well, it's probably more conscious than not, but as an artist, and anybody who is an artist, an author, painter, songwriter, whatever,
Mhm.
um, even the most humble of artists are still creating something for somebody to like, you know,
Mhm.
whether it's to make somebody in their family proud, or to, um, you want to make some sort of statement, or whatever. Like, your intent is for someone to experience what you made. Um, and that, for me, so we're going to talk about me again real quick. Like, when I was
Of course.
when I was doing the kids music thing, there would be plenty of times where before a show, and not really after we had set up and everything, but maybe like the day before, I would start getting a little anxiety about it, and I would go, you know what, if this thing tomorrow just didn't happen, that would totally be fine with me. But at the same time, you want to get out there and you want to play and you want to perform your art for people. Um, I don't know if that's due to some level of imposter syndrome or something. But like, do you experience that at all? Like, you write these things and you're like, oh, I can't wait. Maybe like when you have a reading or something, and the day before you're like, you know what? If nobody ever heard about this book again, that would be okay.
It's yes and no. Uh so my anxieties when I go into a reading is, again, because of the dyslexia. I might get nervous and lose my place.
Hmm.
So to counteract that, I go ahead and I start with, hey everyone, welcome, blah blah blah. By the way, I'm going to start reading. Full disclosure, I am dyslexic. If I lose my place, I'm just going to take a moment, find where I need to be, and we'll go from there.
You can just tell
So
people it's like a choose your own adventure book. We're just going to skip ahead a few pages here.
we're just gonna right.
And
And
then
you don't know
Anne
what
came home.
happens.
The end. Thanks for coming, everyone. You just got here.
It does take the pressure off. Well, you're an extrovert. I'm an extrovert. I love public speaking,
Hmm.
but public reading not so much. So because I might lose my place.
Yeah.
So it does make me a little anxious. But as far as like letting people hear it, by the time my book is finished, I'm very confident with my characters. I don't want you to talk mess about them
Yeah.
because this is an awesome story. But but I am currently writing another book, and I'm realizing, just as I've written 3 novels now, and this will be my fourth one written. And I'm realizing that even though the first book was, in my mind, amazing, it turned out amazing the way I expected it to turn out.
Oh.
And my second book didn't turn out the way I expected it to, but it was wonderful. It came out in a different way, quite nice. And then the second book came out very different from what I expected it to as well.
Yeah.
Now I'm working on this fourth book, which is related to the first book that I wrote. The two in the middle are related to one another. So this fourth book, I haven't been in the world that the first book was written in a very long time.
Mm.
So catching that voice again, and the time period, which is not our time period, I've been listening to a lot of classical music,
Mm-hmm.
some medieval Eminem, and just just random, like anything
Yeah.
that'll put me back in the um 15th, 16th century. And I'll have to tell you that this writing this book has been difficult,
Mm.
in that, and it's been difficult in the way that the others were difficult, but you just don't realize how difficult it is until you're in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this book, and I'm trying to, A, tell the story of tell the hardships of this young woman. B, have it be funny. Like, to me, those hardships have to come with a little humor. Otherwise,
Oh,
how do you get
sure. Yeah.
through it?
It's a
How do you just
little
be like,
depressing.
right? I want you to get through it, and I want you to see how resilient she can actually be without it being bogged down and wordy and just absolute boring.
Yeah.
So it's it's been a little difficult, but at the same time, and I was talking to another colleague of ours last week, I go back when I get really upset, that I get to a point where I get upset and I think I'm going to just trash it all and start over,
Mm-hmm. Been there.
which, 100 pages in, Nathan, it's like, oh my, what am I thinking? I go back, I take a break, I go back and I read just a section. And then I'm like, oh, wait, what am I doing? I can't toss this. This is great. And then I'll pick another section. I'm like, why do I think this is trash?
Right.
You just kind of have to remember that, when you're making the sausage, it's messy.
Right.
It's
Right.
just a mess. Just get through
Would
it.
you look at that
I
mess?
know, just get through it.
Well, and this isn't necessarily specific to artists, but maybe a little more so for creative types. But I mean, people can tend to be their own worst critic because
Yeah,
you see all the cracks and you know how the sausage is made, and if it doesn't turn out like you expected, then it's really easy to go, "Oh, well, forget it. Like this is going to take some time to fix, or I don't know where to go from here, or whatever it is." Um,
exactly.
so you want
Exactly.
you want that objective viewpoint. You want to power through that and finish your creation, and then have somebody read it and appreciate it who, my mom always said, my mama always said, uh, growing up, she would always say, as she was doing this, she goes, you know what? A sandwich is always better when somebody else makes it for you. And every time that I've made myself a sandwich, I'm like, "Gah, this this sandwich is boring. Or this, like I was craving a sandwich and now I've made one and it is just not hitting the spot. Um, and I kind of go through the same, like I'm getting really into like putting together guitar kits, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun. And then when I'm done with it, I'm like, there's a this I messed up the paint here, or this thing doesn't line up quite right. Like you see all the flaws, and you
Mhm.
see all the things that are out of alignment or whatever, and then I just end up like ditching it because I can't appreciate it anymore because I'm too invested in it. I know everything about it. I've seen it from all angles and I don't like it. But then like I'll put it up on Facebook or something, and like this is a true story. I'm not doing this for ratings. Uh, I had built this one guitar, and I was like, man, I'm just over it. I don't even want this thing anymore. And I put it up on Marketplace, and like in less than a day, I had this kid interested in it, and he came by, and he was like, man, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And he's playing it, and like he had just started playing guitar and stuff, um, and maybe to him it was a guitar that maybe he thought like the style of it and the way that it looked would, if it was made by like a real manufacturer, would be a really expensive guitar. And he was like, man, can you sign this for me? And I was like, uh, I
You
don't.
signed it, didn't
No,
you?
no, I did not. I didn't sign it.
Ah,
I
man.
didn't sign it. I was like, I don't think that's going to help the value. But like, he was like, man, this thing is so cool and awesome. And like, you did a great job. And, for me, looking at it, and when I was finished with it, I was like, God, like, I don't even want this thing. Who's going to want this? Um, but it, it took me making a sandwich for somebody else, um, for them to really appreciate it. And,
And I was
that's,
just about to say, the fact that he loved it so much and he wanted you to sign it.
yeah,
I'm gonna say right now, I'm a little mad that you didn't sign it. I'm a
sign my
little
sandwich.
and
But,
ketchup.
I, I think that's just a good kind of, I don't know, just good perspective to have in life in general. Sometimes you're in it too deep.
Yeah.
You can't see the forest for the trees, or whatever other cliche you want to stick in there. Um, but again, especially for creative types who are driven by making something, and just all the frustrations that come with that, and the numerous amount of times we try to talk ourselves out of finishing. um I think if you can just go, you know what, like maybe I'm not making this for me. I'm not the one who's going to eat this sandwich, somebody else is, and they're going to be able to appreciate it more because of the end result. Yeah, because they're not part of the process.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, and to add on to that, I also paint, and you're talking about this, and I'm looking at two paintings
Of
that I
sandwiches.
did of sandwiches. No. Two paintings that I did that are hanging in my house. And one, well, neither one of them are brilliant in my mind, but one is better than the other. One is like completely unfinished, Nathan, and I still hung it up.
It's got like one black line on it. Abstract. Put it up there.
It's like it is an abstract, and I just fucking I was like, oh, it fits this wall.
It's like the same color as the wall paint. It's supposed to blend in.
And people come by and they talk about it, kind of like you and your guitar. They're
Yeah.
like, wow, you made this? I'm like, yeah, it's not even finished.
You're like, yeah, whatever. That is,
Like,
it's
don't
no
look
big
too
deal.
close.
Right. And then they walk up there and like, oh yeah, she's right. This thing sucks. Might need to hang this in the fireplace.
All right. They sit on the sofa and they look underneath and they realize it's not painted. It's like...
Oh boy.
I'm kind of at the point where I'm wondering if I should even bother finishing it. But just
Yeah.
like leave it unfinished, and then when I die, they could like question why it was
Or,
unfinished.
or it's just this big enigma. Like, is it actually finished? Is is it being unfinished, making it finished?
Was she trying to make a point about life?
Right. What is she leave? What nugget of wisdom am I supposed to obtain from this piece of art?
Complete laziness. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
right.
Oh my
Your kids are
gosh.
like, I don't know, just take it off the wall and put it in that box.
Right.
That's all
We
going
never
to
liked
Goodwill.
it.
One last question, I
Uh-huh.
think. Just I want to go back to the book thing real quick. When you are writing and thinking about Anne, is
Mhm.
there any part of Anne that is you?
Anne is rebellious.
So yes.
And so he was like, yeah, I can be a bit rebellious. You know that already. Like, I can be like, no, I'll
Right.
smile in your face.
Right.
And then people look at me like, wait, did she just say no? She's smiling.
Yeah, it's like, okay, real quick aside, it's like on Parks and Rec. Um, if anybody watches that show or has watched that show, there's a character in it called Ann Perkins, and there's another character called shoot, it's Rob Lowe's character. Can't remember
Yeah.
his character's name. So spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen the show. They are an item for a little while, and then Chris Krager, or Traeger. Anyway, Chris.
Gregor.
Um, so Chris and Ann are an item, and then something is happening where Chris is just like, I think he was going to eventually move away or something, and he's like, we got to break up. But he's like, his character is such a nice guy that Ann just did not know that they broke up. And it was kind of painted in this like almost not even like we're taking a break kind of thing, but she just took it to be like, oh yeah, everything's fine. And then like a week later, he's like, we broke up like a week ago. She's like, what? But the whole thing is like he was just so nice about it. Instead of smiling, not upset about it or anything. Okay,
Oh
proceed.
man. I love it.
You
But yeah,
smile
so
at people when you cut them down.
yeah, just I don't want them to feel too bad.
It's
But
like I'm gonna hit you, but it's gonna be with a pillow. But it's still gonna be really hard.
Might be a rock in the pillow, but just never mind that.
Uh,
Out and then whoa. Anyway,
all right. So Anne,
yeah.
is Anne any reflection of you or who you would like to be?
She is very rebellious, but in a way that I would not be. Like I'm kind of like sneaky rebellious. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want, but at the same time, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna rock the boat too much.
Sure.
She totally blows the boat up. And she's doing this, and I'm like, chick, there was like a more subtle way to do that. And she just does it anyway. So Anne in the beginning of the story is nothing like me. She's a little wild. She's a little wild for my taste. But
Yeah.
then towards the end, she learns that subtlety
Uh-huh.
can work better for you. So she kind of grows up, and the later Anne is more like me, and the early Anne is not. It's
Yeah.
the more adult Anne is more like me. But
Interesting.
speaking speaking of characters, there's a book that I haven't published, in bookstores. It's online, and it's called I Wish I Had a Latino. And there's a lot of musical references in that book too. You love it. But I Wish I Had a Latino is more of a rom-com.
Uh-huh.
And it's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's more like 35. And it's like the main character is a young Black woman who has like a lot of things happen to her, and how she reacts to it. And I've had some friends read that book, and when they read that book, they think that she's me.
Oh, that's
Like
funny.
I'm like it's like almost an autobiographical story,
Yeah.
and it's totally not me. Like, so,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
does she have
It's not a cry for
aspects?
help.
It's just like there are aspects about her that are me. Like, I don't know why anybody would not like Star Trek, so she likes Star Trek.
Sure.
I don't know why anyone would not like Jane Austen, so she likes Jane Austen. Outside of that, I look at her character, and her as a person inspired me. So
Oh.
she was doing her own thing, and here I am eating popcorn in my house, writing her story, and I'm like, dang, maybe I should get a gym membership. This girl getting it, you know?
She's got her life together.
Dang, she hitting the gym every day, and I'm just sitting here. So it's like, so I did. I finished her story, and then I got a gym membership, and
Man,
I mean,
you just had to
she
look
already
within.
it was so it's sometimes it's not me like putting myself into the character. It's the character influencing me back, and they're doing their thing, and I'm like, wow, that's great. I should do that.
Very
Which,
interesting.
which, by the way, she loves karaoke.
Ooh.
Yes, bro. So
Yes.
so she and her 456 friends, like there's this place in Norfolk, Virginia. It's called 456 Fish. It's a restaurant. And she and her girlfriends meet there every other Thursday night. So that group of friends, they get together and they do like their own like musical like dance moves, and they sing, and they do all it's
That
great.
is hilarious.
They're awesome. Like, I wish I had a girl group that was just to do that. My girlfriends are lame.
Well, maybe you could sort of like weird science this. You just like create a person from words and stuff, and then like put a bra on your head and make sure that it's stormy outside. And then you just there's my
Have the
friend.
electricity go out, and all of a sudden,
Then Kelly LeBrock shows up, and you're like, oh, okay. I guess this is
like, do you
happening.
sing? Do you dance?
Do you
Oh,
like
you don't
fish?
do either. Yeah, you gotta go back.
She's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I guess you wanted some
oh,
more.
yes, I'm sorry. There are no teenage boys here for you.
We have laws against that now, lady. Well, where can people find your stuff? How can they obtain your books? And I believe
Well,
you mentioned to me today about a pre-sale. So
Yes, you can go to
plug
my
away.
website. You can go to my website. It's dot between hyphen the hyphen line dot
Oh,
com.
yeah.
And you'll find Anna Survivor is my first book. And then there's also information on where you can read my book, I Wish I Had a Latino, and also the beginnings of my web comic. I'm looking for an artist, by the way. Uh, and it's called The Chart.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's I have a blog on there. I've got recipes. If you like to cook, there's something for everybody.
Wow. That's kind of a one-stop shop.
I know, right?
You're like, I don't want to do just one thing.
It's like, let's throw in the kitchen sink. Why
There you
not?
go.
Pretty soon here I'll have like a little Amazon station, and you can just do your Amazon shopping from my website so you don't ever have to leave. Try to work that
Hey,
out with Jeff Bezos.
yeah, there you go. I'm sure he'll help
So
you out.
I'm
He's
not
got
sure he
nothing better
will.
to do.
I don't have his number anyway.
I can get it for you.
Oh,
I've got
cool.
ways. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. And I think this time I keep looking at my screen and I'm having this panic attack. Like I forgot to hit record.
Well, I've
It,
been looking at the red dot like this whole
yep.
time.
I'm like, oh, we get all the way through, and I'm like, so funny story. Didn't hit record. I
Well,
think,
here's the thing. The last time you did it, all I did was laugh. I was like, it's fine.
well,
And you know
there,
what? I'm kind of glad because I feel like this was better.
yes, yeah, we found our pace on this one. Okay, well, thanks again for being on the show. Um, we'll have
Thanks for
all your
having me.
we'll have all your stuff on in the show notes where people can find all your stuff. And I think that's it.
All right. Well, I will catch you tomorrow, and I'm totally gonna send you Debange. You gotta listen to some African music, man.
Uh, I'll do it. Don't tempt me with a good time. So, Marquise, are you sad now? Are you sad that this is all coming to an end?
Uh, no, because I know that there's better
There's
things
a
on the horizon.
That's right. There's
I
a
mean,
new beginning.
I share one single tear though, because um, it was something that I enjoyed listening to different people and hearing different, but I'm a weirdo. So I like stuff like that, so so I mean I can say I could, we can go on and on and on it, but I understand we got to switch it up. And
Yeah.
we found another, put it like this, we found another interest. It's not like we switching it up, but hey, we
Yeah.
want to try different things. And not saying
Yeah.
we're going to stop interviews, because we're not stopping interviews. We're going to
Yeah.
revamp.
Yeah.
It's
We're gonna
time for a revamp.
Yeah. Yeah. Because our schedules are starting to get a little weird, and other people's schedules are a little weird, especially going into the summer. So we're just gonna pivot and try some new approaches to some ideas. Well, maybe not new approaches to these ideas because we haven't done them yet. But but Marquise and I have some ideas that we want to tackle during the summer, and we think that's a perfect time to do a little more experimentation and maybe some alterations to the format. The interview portions will return in the fall. The
Yes.
the way that the shows are structured, or the frequency, or the content may shift a little, but I mean, at the core of this podcast, it is about giving people a platform to share experiences, their stories, their perspective. And that's going to continue to happen We're just we're thinking outside the box a little bit from how we originally started, and we're trying to be a little more organic and figure out the best way to include some of these other thoughts and ideas that we have. And we're excited about it. We're excited to share that with you all. So with that being said, we're going to go on a slight hiatus because we've got to go back into the lab and work on some things.
Gotta
So
cook a different meal up.
that's right. I got to fire up that Bunsen burner. So we'll be back in June, but we're going to take the time in between this episode and the next to really let the rubber meet the road on some of these things we've been kind of holding. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So don't worry. Don't go anywhere. Don't forget about us. Please.
Yeah, don't abandon. We are here. Trust me. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
If this is your first episode that you're listening to, well, you've got about 14 others to get caught up on. So you can binge the show in the next few weeks. That'll be okay.
There you go. By the time you finish binging, we will be sending you a new episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Once you're done binging, we will be sending an episode.
You a new episode.
Hey. Well, this is probably a good place to stop. Or otherwise, we're just going to keep making up silly songs, and people are going to be like, "When is this episode over?" So
yeah, I'm not coming back now. So
that's right.
Y'all had me at first, but when y'all started singing, I just got up out of there.
So yeah, we're gonna cap this episode with This Day in Music, and then we will see you, maybe, hint, see you in June.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
as always, thank you again for listening, checking us out, sharing with all your family, friends, neighbors, and goldfish. And we look forward to seeing you during the summer.
Absolutely.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you later. Peace.
You hang up first.
Oh, okay.
No, you hang up. No,
you hang up.
All
right, hold on.
Oh, he hung up. Okay. Bye, everybody.
This Day in Music. Let's get it. Right here, right now. April 22nd, 2007. Beyonce and Shakira were at #1 on the UK singles chart with Beautiful Liar. Lies be beautiful. They might. The track won the most earth-shattering collaboration award at the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards. This day in music. I felt the ground shake on that. Me too, man. This Day in Music, 2001. Destiny's Child went to #1 on the UK singles chart with Survivor. Classic. Their second chart topper. They were the first U.S. female band to have more than #1 UK #1. More than one number ones? More than one number ones. The song won the trio the Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a Group. This Day in Music. That's a special one yesterday. 1991. This Day in Music. The Dave Matthews Band played their first ever live show when they appeared at the Earth Day Festival. Happy Earth Day in Charlottesville, Virginia. Earth Day. This Day in Music. This Day in Music. 1989. Madonna started a 3-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Like a Prayer. The singer's 7th U.S. number 1. Also a number 1 in the UK. Double time. This day in music. This Day in Music, 1978, April 22nd. Let's hear it. Bob Marley and the Wailers performed at the One Love Peace Concert in Jamaica. It was Marley's first public appearance in Jamaica since being wounded in an assassination attempt a year and a half earlier. This Day in Music. This Day in Music, 1972. Deep Purple scored their second UK number 1. Okay. Scored their second UK number 1 album with Machine Head. You said too. The album, which features Smoke on the Water and Highway Star, is often cited as a major influence in the early development of the heavy metal music genre and commercial. Okay. It was Deep Purple's most successful album choice. This Day in Music, 1966. 24 local groups appeared at the Battle of the Bands gig. Excuse me if I mispronounce this. The Matwana Keyport Rollerdrome in New Jersey. All acts performed 3 songs each. The Rogues won first place. That's peace. Second was Sonny and the Starfires. And third place went to the Castells with Bruce Springsteen on the vocals. That's gold right there. The 3 winners were given the opportunity to perform at the Rollerdrome the following week as part of a major concert headlined by the Crystals. Only if they knew they had a star like Bruce Springsteen in the shadows. This Day in Music. This Day in Music. What else we got? April 22nd, 1966. Okay. Wild Thing by the Troggs. Who were originally called the Troglodytes. The song went on to reach number 1, fronted by Reg Presley. Wild Thing became a major influence on garage rock and punk rock. Interesting. It is. This Day in Music, 1964. Talk about it. Wrap it up. The president of the National Federation of Hairdressers offered a free haircut to the next number 1 group in the UK pop charts. He said the Rolling Stones were the worst, and that one of them looks like he has a feather duster on his head. Who says that? I mean, it could have been. It's Mick Jagger, right? Yeah. And they were the worst. Okay. Not great. If that's what you want to go with, sir, you know, we just gonna have to we gonna rock with you or not. Yeah, I love to interview him right now. Anyway, This Day in Music. See you next week. Peace out.
Echospective was recorded and produced in Mockingbird Studios, brought to you by Marquise Burke and Nathan Sieg, and in part by their respective families. We thank you all so much for pushing us to strive for excellence. And we thank you, the listener. Your support means everything.